Welcome to Freedom Cast, where your hosts, Jordan and Miranda, show you how to get just a little bit more out of life. Are you ready to leave normal behind?
Welcome to Freedom Cast, faithful Freedom Cast listener. We're glad you stopped by with us today.
This is Jordan.
And this is Miranda. We're happy to... Wait, what?
Say what? Just kidding. This is Miranda.
And this is Jordan.
Today we have a special guest, Stevie Storck, who has a lot to say about entrepreneurism and why it's so important to just be a little crazy.
Isn't it entrepreneurship?
I don't remember what I said, but...
Entrepreneurism. Let's go with that for this episode. Thank you, Stevie, for being on, and we look forward to chatting with you.
Hashtag entrepreneurism.
All right, Stevie, thank you so much for being on the show with us today. We thank you for taking time out of your, what day is it? Tuesday night to be with us. We appreciate that. We just welcome you on the show.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm really excited to be on with you guys.
Yeah, I'm extra excited because we always like to start with how we kind of know the person who we're interviewing. So I just think it's extra special because your family and my family have been family friends forever. Yeah. So I just think it's so awesome that you agreed to be on our show because I know we go way back. So
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Our parents went to elementary school together and then, went to the same church and all that kind of stuff. But it's so cool now to see what we're all doing, like you and Jordan and then just team, like we're all kind of doing our own thing. It's just really fun and awesome.
It is. It's very awesome. And if our listeners remember Just Teens podcast, we talked about a lot of videos and a lot of blackmail. Stevie has been a part of a lot of those videos. So we have a lot of blackmail on you as well. So
of course. So got to be careful with you guys.
Yeah.
I didn't know that your guys' parents went to school together and everything. Like I knew you were basically like one family, but I didn't know it was like that I didn't know that's where it started. So that's really cool.
There was a story at like the last day of school, like our dad poured a bucket of water on their mom, like on the school bus or something weird like that.
Or like he like bought cats from, there's something to do with cats. I don't know.
That is extremely random.
There's some weird stories in there. But yeah, I just wanted you to start out. If you could just tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do. You have kind of a really awesome story. So if you just want to start off just a little bit about yourself.
Sure thing. Well, I'm Stevie Storck, and through my business, Stevie Storck Design Co., I offer residential interior design services, and I serve clients in South Central PA, Northern Maryland, and also nationwide through eDesign. So I like to say I specialize in elegant, eclectic style on mid-range budgets. And to me, that really means I'm all about mixing high with low, designer brands, vintage, and handmade finds with like big box store items. To me, the magic's really in the mix. And it's my goal with every project to really create a unique space that reflects the personality and the functional needs of my clients.
Yeah, and that's awesome. And hopefully everyone will look at your blog posts and your website, and just the rooms you've done are so beautiful.
Oh,
they're
so
really
much.
nice.
Oh, and the whole website looks really nice. Like you definitely have that design like aspect down. It's really cool.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a work in progress, the website. And I started off blogging like, I don't know, 7 years ago, something like that. And it's just been like a learning process and improving as I go. So I know you guys are kind of the same way with like learning as you go.
Yeah. We like to just go for it and see what happens.
Yeah, because I've only really been blogging and writing for the past like 2.5 years, and I didn't do anything like that before.
Yeah.
And then we've only been doing this podcast since September. So really not that long.
Yeah.
There's a lot of learning as you go.
Yeah, totally.
And I love that you have an eye for those types of things, because I know Jordan and I cannot put a room together. Like the feng shui is way off. It's just, we struggle with that.
Yeah, your family made like fun of us at one point because our room was so like not feng shui.
Oh my gosh.
We got in trouble.
Hey, it takes all kinds of kinds. I'm like not good at math. I mean, I have to be decent at math for like measurements and stuff, but everybody's got their thing.
That's true. So, can you kind of tell us, when did you discover that you had kind of an entrepreneurial spirit and that you decided that you wanted to do something a little bit different,
Mhm.
occupation wise?
Well, I think I've always kind of known that I would work for myself someday. Small business really, like I like to say, it runs in my family or it's in my blood. Like my grandfather and my uncle both own truck shops, and I grew up on a dairy farm. So, like, dairy farm's like the ultimate small business.
Yeah.
And now it's kind of cool to see the next generation of my family doing their own thing. Like my sister and I have two cousins who, in one way or another, have worked for themselves or are currently working for themselves. And I think it's just one of those things where I always knew I wanted to do things my own way. So, I mean, in the back of my mind, I always kind of knew, but I'd say from like my junior year of college, I pretty much was like, had the idea that I'd be graduating and starting my own business right away. And it ended up working out a little different than that, but it's like I pretty much had that same goal and stuck with it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Because I know for us, like, kind of hit us later on after we had been doing the traditional job for a while that we were, like, well, we need a change, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I like never knew that that's what I wanted to do. I mean, I grew up, I had no idea what I wanted to do for like 25 years. So that's cool to know that you were like, yeah, I'm going to do that someday. That's awesome.
And I think once you start working in like the regular career field, like you really quickly realize like, oh, I don't think I fit into this. Like everyone else is like okay with this, and I just like am not. It's a certain type of person.
So how long were you, because I know you did have a traditional job right out of college for a little while. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So right after college, I started off in kitchen and bath design. I had an internship that I worked in Maryland, and then I moved to another firm in Pennsylvania. And then I ended up working at a furniture store after that. So a total of 3 years from the time I graduated college to when I started my own business full time. I've been doing some work on the side and kind of as a side hustle. But yeah, it took about 3 years of working and kind of figuring out what I wanted to do, like as far as my business was concerned, to really have like the confidence and feel like I had the foundation to make that leap.
Yeah, that's awesome. So do you think for you, was it super challenging to switch out of that traditional job into working for yourself, or were you able to kind of make that transition a little easier because you had been kind of preparing for it since you were in college? How was that whole transition for you?
Yeah, it was a big decision and it was really scary. But I think, like we said, for people that have that passion for entrepreneurship, you just kind of get to the point where it's now or never. Like it's inevitable that you're going to do it. So you just have to go for it. And I think you kind of have to be wildly optimistic and maybe a little delusional to make sense because it's that energy that's going to sustain you when things start to get hard. And as far as like how challenging it was, I feel like common advice I hear all the time is that you shouldn't quit your day job until you can match your salary like with your income from your side hustle. And that's not the way we did it. And I think that there's another way for young business owners, especially coupled ones, to make it work. So like when my husband and I first got married, we really didn't make very much money at our jobs, but we got by like living within our means. And like, of course, our income's increased over the last 4 years, but with the exception of buying our house, which we did buy as a foreclosure, like the cheapest house we could find, I think we still live a pretty frugal, newlywed type lifestyle. Like we both drive older cars. We don't go on expensive vacations. I buy almost everything for our house secondhand and at thrift stores. And I think because we're willing to make those sacrifices, I was able to pursue my business, and we were still able to, at the same time, cash flow the last 2 years of my husband's degree, which he just finished in December. I'm super proud and excited for him.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's great. Congratulations to him.
So yeah, I think there's a common misconception that you have to be rolling in it to afford to work for yourself. But for us, we really choose to live simply so we can afford to pursue what actually is going to make us happy.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love everything about what you just said because I do think it's true. You do have to be slightly delusional because there's still days that we're like, I'm not sure how we're going to make this work, financially. But it is, if you choose to have that lifestyle, you could make it work. You just have to pay for the things that are really important to you.
Yeah, definitely. It's about prioritizing and like not doing a bunch of the extra stuff that like really doesn't mean anything or it isn't moving you towards where you want to be.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I can totally relate to the old car. We share our 2000 Toyota Corolla.
Yep.
So
Yeah, I'm all about
We're proud
that.
of it.
Yeah, someday
Yeah.
we'll have nicer cars. But for now it's working for us. And I'd rather have the life I have now working from home than a $400 a month car payment and look really cool.
Yeah, exactly. And I always say, like, no one's going to rob, our car because it's just so nondescript, old, like dirty.
Exactly.
And if they do, that's okay.
Right. Yeah, it's just stuff.
It's not a big deal.
Like invested in it emotionally. It's like, it's okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like, it was its time. Like it was just, it was supposed to happen.
It serves the purpose of getting you to work and then getting us to places after work. Serves its purpose.
Sounds like you guys are optimists, which that's my kind of people.
Yeah, I think it's, the only way to be with this.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I was nodding my head the whole time you were talking, Stevie, for sure. Like definitely the delusional thinking, but also the, in some ways you have to make certain sacrifices, and it seems like a very like first world thing to say, like I'm going to make a sacrifice and not have a brand new car, but like compared to what other people like can have, you have to live a little bit differently.
Exactly.
But like you said, I would rather be able to work from home and work on my stuff than like to go on like extravagant vacations and do all that stuff. Like we have to make that decision. So that's cool.
Right. Exactly.
So can you tell us what your absolute favorite part about working for yourself is?
So for this is like a really easy answer for me. It's freedom. And I know that that's kind of vague, but for me, what that really means is like when I was working for other people, I had the hardest time trying to stay motivated when I felt like the way things were being done was being decided arbitrarily or it wasn't as efficient as it could be. And now that I'm my own boss, I have complete control over that. So if something isn't working how I want it to, I can edit and change course as I go with total freedom and creativity. So my business already has grown and changed so much in the last 2 years. That's just since I went full time. And I can't wait to see what it's going to become in another 2 years because I'm always looking to constantly improve and change and grow and pivot. And that's really what energizes me is the ability to do that, the freedom to do that.
Yeah, that's amazing. Because I think that freedom is so important. Because I know I am still working a traditional job, and it is sometimes you're like, why on earth are we doing it this way? And when you work for yourself, it's okay. Why am I doing this way? Okay, let me reevaluate and do this a different way.
Yeah, let's make it better. Yeah.
So do you think you have improved like your process for, making your blog posts and designing rooms? Do you feel like you have made leaps and bounds since you started?
Oh, 100%. And especially when it comes to client work, like I feel like I graduated college knowing how to design a room. I think my first 3 jobs, I learned kind of how to like, generally communicate and present designs and kind of like sell ideas to people. But I think what I learned so much in the last 2 years is how to have that client relationship that works smoothly and you're really setting the expectations and delivering solutions to their problems instead of just thinking about it like, when I worked at the furniture store, it was a sales kind of background. Same thing with kitchen and bath design. So I feel like I've really gotten clarity around the heart of what needs I'm filling for my clients and what I can do to make it easy for them.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's definitely something I think you don't exactly learn in college, and that you have to kind of learn while you go.
Definitely. Yeah, there's no way to learn it other than by doing it.
Yeah. So can you tell us maybe just some challenges you've had to overcome, whether it be, earlier on or when you switched to the entrepreneurial lifestyle or throughout college, just things that you've kind of had to go through and that have challenged you?
I think there's like a lot of different things I could talk about. Life is like such a learning experience, but I think what came to mind for me was the transition of graduating from college. And we were kind of talking about this, like I graduated from college in Pittsburgh and then I moved home to York County, Pennsylvania. And that that really meant I was going from a bigger city with a lot of job opportunities to a smaller town in a more rural area. And I really had to hustle to get myself a job. And my first 2 jobs out of college actually were at companies that weren't even hiring. I either cold called or stopped by and convinced them why they should give me a job. And while I think it was kind of a personal win that I had the confidence and persistence to do that, in both situations, it ended up that more or less they weren't actually ready to hire me. So it wasn't an ideal work environment in either case. And that was definitely difficult. Like, your first year or 2 out of college, like trying to find your place in the workforce, and then also kind of knowing in the back of your head that you're probably not cut out for any job, but you needed to do something.
You need money.
Exactly. So it's like that reality check. But I was really able to take what I learned from each of those experiences, like even though they were kind of negative, and I was able to be a lot wiser when I was looking for my next job, which was my last job before I quit to take my business full time. So I think it's just all about like, I went through that struggle, but what I learned was what I really needed as an employee, or like, even just in my career to feel fulfilled, red flags to look for from the beginning and like the confidence to be like, okay, no, I'm not going in that direction.
Yeah.
And then even just questions to ask in the interview. Like as a new college graduate, I didn't know what to ask, but then like through my experiences, there's some questions you can ask that can really get you answers as to like what working for that company is really going to be like, what their values are, what their mission is, and all that. And I just don't think I could have known that before I had those experiences.
Yeah. And that's so cool that you created a job for yourself at 2 different places. I've read like job hunting books before that have said that. And I'm always like, does that actually work? So that's cool that it does.
Yeah, it does. And I mean, it could have been, I had good experiences at both and learned a lot at both of the companies too. But I think it's just one of those things, being the type personality that I am, being restless and wanting to like move at a quicker pace or learn more and just accomplish more. It was just hard in situations where like, there wasn't a lot of training or support for like a new employee, or like you kind of weren't given the chance to do everything you wanted to do. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely mad respect for you for being able to do that. I'm with Miranda. I'm like, oh man, like I couldn't even picture myself doing that. I'd be so nerve-wracked to go in and, have those kind of conversations, but that's awesome.
You should hire me.
Yeah.
It was weird. And to be honest, like I'm a naturally pretty shy person, but I don't know what got into me. Like, it took a lot of, a lot of confidence. And I want to say it's like that fake it till you make it confidence is like what got me through the 3 years. And even now, with getting started in my career, because it's tough for everyone, but I feel like you have to be willing to take risks and be bold to get to where you want to go.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think you have to be, you have to have that fake it till you make it. You have to have that, like, I got this confidence, even if in the back of your mind, you're like, I have no idea what this person's talking about, but I'll figure it out.
100%. Yes.
I'll Google it. Like I'll talk to people. I'll read a book. Like I'll do whatever I need to do to figure out like what I need to do.
Exactly.
And I think if you have that type of attitude, you can make it in whatever career you want.
You're always going to win with that kind of attitude. And also like, the secret I feel like that nobody tells you is that nobody knows what they're doing. Like even your boss that's like 20 years older than you, they're making it up as they go along too. Like,
yeah, that's so true. Everybody's just kind of, going for it.
Yep.
clueless, but
Yep.
But we make it work.
Yeah, we find a way.
Yep.
I think it's cool too, what you said about, when you get out of college, it's kind of hard to know what exactly your place is and what you should do. You kind of feel like you get kicked off a cliff and you just have to learn to fly. So it's definitely good advice for people who are looking for a traditional job to, just go for it, try to make a company make a job for you, or try to get that job that seems like you're not quite qualified, but hey, go for it anyway.
Yeah, because even if it doesn't work out, you're going to learn so much and you're going to be that much closer to where you really want to be.
Yeah, that's awesome. So can you tell us some of your goals for the future? What big plans do you have for a StevieStorck.com?
So I feel like in a lot of ways, I'm kind of hitting my stride more, like as a person and also as a business owner. I feel like the last 3 years have kind of prepared me. Like I have more clarity now than I ever have around what's important to me, how I want to show up in the world. We're also expecting our first child in May, so I'm super excited for that challenge.
Congratulations again.
Thank you. So it's like I'm excited for that challenge, especially when it comes to my career too, because I'm going to have a little bit more limited time in a different way than I have before. So I'm seeing that as a challenge to do even better work and be more focused on what's really important to me. So that really for me means like saying no to things that aren't working and opportunities that aren't in line with how I most want to serve people, and working smarter and not harder. So along those lines, one goal I've been wanting to do forever, and I've outlined it a million times, but never done anything with it, is put together a simple e-course around designing your own home. Because I mean, there's no right or wrong way to approach interior design, but over the years, I've kind of been developing my own methods and style, and I think that's what sets my work apart. And what I want to do is share that with more people and help eliminate some of the common frustrations people have when they're trying to DIY their own home design. So it's my goal to launch that in the next quarter, before I would take my maternity leave. So we'll see. I'm in the kind of content creation process of that now.
That's awesome. I mean, that'll be an awesome course when you do get it done because, you are so organized, and I'm sure it'll be so helpful for people.
Yeah, there's some like really simple, like foundational type things that I feel like I repeat in every project, and I can definitely share that way of thinking, and yeah, hopefully it just makes it easier for people because everybody should love their house and their house should work for them. I really believe that.
We're going to definitely watch that course after you're done with it.
Oh, yes.
Maybe you guys can be my beta testers.
Yeah.
Sure, works for us.
Okay, cool.
So do you have your baby room designed yet, or are you waiting? I know you said you're going to be finding out the sex of the baby soon.
Yeah, very soon. So I've had like some general plans, like, for years in my head. But about now I'm starting to actually put things to paper. Kind of boy or girl, we're going to keep it kind of similar, but I'm excited. It's going to be really, it's kind of fancier than any other room in my house, but I guess that's fitting.
So Stevie, I'm going to throw in a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
What's like a day in the life of like doing your job? Is it different every day? Or
Yeah.
which I'm sure it is, but
Yeah, it's definitely different every day. So I'll say like I don't know how in depth I want to go with this as far as like, this is when I wake up. But I do kind of get an early start to my days, and I try to, have enough time to like eat breakfast, walk the dog, and have some like intentional time. Like I do a bullet journal as far as organizing my thoughts and goals and everything with my business. So I spend time in the morning kind of planning out my day. And then what a day looks like can change depending on if I have a client meeting or a new consultation that day. I could be driving all over the place. My consultations are usually about 2 hours. And then I come home. I would start to kind of outline. After consultations, I give a proposal, a project guide type document. So that will include an inspiration collage, a preliminary project budget, and preliminary floor plans to try to kind of get the ball rolling on their project, and then kind of quote what my services would be moving forward. So I usually try to start those right after I have an appointment. But yeah, if I don't have a new consultation that day, I might just be working on like a presentation or other design work from home, writing a blog post, or working on like a DIY project that it's going to go on my blog, taking photos. I mean, really, there's like a million different things I do from day to day. But yeah, I mean, I think that's what keeps it fun and interesting.
Yeah, that's really cool. I like how you talked about the bullet journal too, and I think that's a nice little tip for people if they want to start out their day really productive. I like that.
Yeah, yeah. I think taking that time in the morning to start my day slow, that's like the biggest thing. Because, yeah, like I said, every day is so crazy different. If I don't like plan it out, it can just go haywire.
Yeah, because for me, there are days I wake up and I'm like, "What the heck am I doing today?" And then it can take a little bit of time to kind of get into that. But
Yeah.
if I woke up a little earlier and kind of had a little slower start, but then planned, I could be more
Mhm.
efficient. So I like that. I'll have to think
Working
about
from
that.
home is a hard transition too. It's like you have to be in charge of like, okay, what's most important today? Like if I'm only going to get to 3 things, what should those be? And like it's hard to go from working a normal job and then working where you're totally relying on yourself to do all that. So
Yeah, it's definitely been it's been a fun transition, but it hasn't been super easy either. It's been like, it's just been a transition. It's been an adjustment period.
yeah, and
But it's been
everybody
awesome.
thinks it's like, oh, it must be amazing to work from home, and it is amazing. But yeah,
for
it,
sure.
it takes a lot of effort too.
It's a
Yeah,
lot
because
of
you
work.
have to constantly be thinking about stuff, and even just like planning out your days and your weeks can be exhausting sometimes. Because like, okay, I got to plan it all, then I got to do it all.
Exactly.
I don't have anyone planning it for me. I don't have anyone doing it for me. And I don't
Right.
have anyone like really besides Miranda coming home and like holding me accountable. When I'm
Exactly.
here, I'm doing my own thing. I'm doing based off what I'm doing. So,
Yeah,
but
it
it's
takes
still
a
fun.
lot of energy. It takes a lot of creative energy just to do the day to day, which I feel like you wouldn't think is true.
Yeah, but I mean, I will say Jordan does give me projects a lot, so
Does he?
I feel like he does.
I
do. Sometimes I'll come home and be like, "Hey, you want to do this for me?" But
That's because I'm terrible at design and stuff, and you're actually good at that. So
That's good. Complementary skills. That's always good to have in a partner.
yeah, it works out. It works out well. But your bullet journals too, I just want to say are like works of art in and of themselves. I feel like it would take me all day just to make a bullet journal look that nice.
Oh, thanks. I try to keep it really simple. Like I know some people do like it almost like a scrapbook with different tape and papers and all that stuff. But I try to just do like just what I can do with a pen. But I do try to have fun with it. And like, always was a doodler in high school, like my sides of my notes and all were covered and stuff. So I try to make it fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. So can you tell us just a few of your role models?
Sure. I feel like there's a lot of people doing really cool stuff out there across all different industries that inspire me. But I have two in like the field of design that really are inspiring me right now, and that's Shay McGee of Studio McGee. She and her husband own a really wildly popular interior design firm in Utah, and they actually launched a home furnishings online store pretty recently too. And they just do an amazing job. I think she has a team of like 20 or 30 people working under her. So they're pretty big now, but they didn't start that long ago, and they've really been able to grow into like a really professional and recognizable and sought after brand. So love Shay McGee. And then another one is somebody I found a little more recently, and that's Kathy Poshusta. I think I'm saying her name right. I found her on Instagram.
sounds right to me.
Yeah, it works.
It's a mouthful.
So her Instagram account is The Grit and Polish. And her husband, Garrett, they make their living renovating old houses as investment properties. And the cool thing about that is like they've got, I think, 3 kids, and like they bring the 3 kids with them like everywhere they go. They're renovating houses, turning over their Airbnb properties between renters. Like they're doing it all with their family in tow. So I just think that's really inspiring. Like I love the idea of like a family business and just the idea that you don't have to choose family or career. Because Shay McGee also has children, and it's just cool to see people making their children a part of their work life and all that too.
Yeah, because that's such a great experience for them too. And then, they already have that in their heads when they're growing up, and they know that, they can achieve whatever they work hard enough at. And that's awesome.
For sure. Yeah.
And I love that they renovate old homes. That sounds like an awesome job.
I am an old home lover. Our house is, I think, 114 years old now, and I just am obsessed. I don't know if I could own a brand new house.
There's something really cool about old houses, like Miranda's Gatchville house. Like that house was cool. It was very unique. There was like a tree in one room or something,
Yeah,
but it wasn't
it
a tree.
wasn't original, but
Yeah, I think Ashland did that. But
yeah, that wasn't there 100 years ago.
yeah,
No, I'm just saying there's a lot of
character and,
strange character. There you go.
Characters
Exactly.
is the right word. It has a bunch of little cubby holes and a basement that's real creepy. Like it's just everything you could ever want.
I never went in there. I never saw your base. It was funny.
Really?
I don't think
never
I
went
did
down there.
either.
Really?
You always just were like, don't go down there.
It's like stepping back in time, really. So can you give our listeners just a piece of advice, Stevie, from, all of your awesome experiences that you've gone through, having the entrepreneurial lifestyle, but also having experience in a traditional job?
Well, I'm not going to say I'm any type of expert, but I feel like I'm a couple steps ahead at least to be able to say, like, my advice is to just get started, because things are always going to be hard. And the thing is, you're going to learn basically everything you need to know about running a successful business by doing it, by making mistakes and trying again and changing course. And I think a lot of people are afraid to launch their business kind of until they've taken that next business e-course, or until they can afford to hire someone to design the perfect logo. And the thing is, the time's going to pass anyway. So I feel like you might as well go all in and commit to learning as you go, because that's the secret.
Yeah, because it can be so easy to find excuses, like now's not the right time. We had this medical bill, or,
Yep.
having a kid, that's a big deal. Anything like that, people can find reasons to put it off. And it really is, experience is the best teacher every time. And even if you try and fail, you learned a lot more than if you didn't do anything. So
definitely. And it's like we were saying before, it's like about your priorities. Like life's always going to come and try to get in the way. But if you prioritize the stuff that's really important to you and just forget about the rest, like you can make it happen.
Yeah, I think that's so important because, and setting up priorities for yourself, because either if you want to do it, you're either going to do it or not. It shouldn't be just this like, I might do it one day. You have to decide what you're doing with your time. And I think, and I definitely, I still fall prey to this too. And definitely before, even just a few years ago, there'd be times where I, am not going to really think about what I'm doing. I'm just gonna be like, well, I'll do that eventually, or I'll do that sometime. But if we're not making it a priority, if we're not choosing to do it, then we're choosing not to do it.
Definitely. Yeah. And I've been right there too. Like, that's how I know how to give that advice, is I've walked through the same thing. And I think we all struggle with that, but.
For sure.
Yeah. Now, this is totally random. It just came to me.
Random is good.
But do you think that growing up on a dairy farm, I mean, we went to your house many times, loved checking out the cows. Do you think that kind of instilled like a hardworking, that sort of, what's the word I'm looking for?
Like work ethic?
Ethic. Thank you. Yeah. Do you think that helped instill that in you at a young age growing up on a dairy farm?
I think it did. And I think that farming, like you wouldn't think that farming is like a creative career, but like you're literally like planting seeds and watching them grow, and like helping cows deliver calves and then feeding them and watching them grow. Like it is like a really, like, you put in the work and you kind of see what you built. And I think that it's that kind of energy that's kind of, I think it helps me see the possibilities and know that hard work does pay off, and know, like, also like with optimism, it's like, you've got to make hay while the sun shines. It's like, there's a lot of things that are out of your control. So all you can do is just kind of keep moving forward, keep moving towards your goal and doing your part, and then having faith that the rest will work itself out.
That's great. You've had so many good points in this podcast. It was awesome.
Oh, thanks.
So now that we talked about how awesome you are and everything you do, can you tell us where people can find out more about you, your blog posts, all those things?
Sure. So my business, Stevie Storck Design Co., the website is just www.steviestorck.com. And my name's kind of strange. It's Stevie like Stevie Nicks, and then Storck, Storck. So .com. That's where the home of my business is. /blog is where I do all of my blogging, and that's where I write about interior design tips and tricks, our own home renovation, DIY projects, and a little bit of our own life kind of mixed in there. And then also you can find me on Instagram. That's probably my favorite of all the social media. And I'm just at Stevie Storck on there.
Great. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on our podcast. That was an awesome episode. I think there's a lot to glean out of this episode.
But yeah, thank you so much for being on the show. Is there anything else you wanted to share real quick before we end?
I was just going to say, thanks so much for having me. Like, this is a little out of my comfort zone, but I'm really glad that we did it.
Yeah, and we're glad to have you. And just so, I mean, it's out of our comfort zone to do any of this at all. So
yeah, that's where you got to live outside your comfort zone. That's what we're trying to
do.
do.
Yeah, it's good to just do it. And like, it's definitely, because me and Miranda are both very much introverts. Like,
yeah,
it's hard. It's hard to reach out to people, but then to have the conversations too. But it's been getting easier for us, and it's been a good experience. So thank you for coming on. Absolutely, I think Miranda was right in saying like there was a lot of good nuggets of information in there. Yeah. So I think our listeners are going to really like this one.
Well, I'm glad, and I'm really excited about everything you guys are doing. I've been listening to the podcast since Miranda texted me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's really fun. I'm really proud of you guys.
Oh, well, thank you. We appreciate that. All right, guys, thank you for listening to that episode. Thank you to Stevie for coming on and spending some time with us. If you enjoyed the episode, please go to my website, jmring.com/podcast. If you're listening to it on my website, then great. Scroll down to the bottom, leave us a comment, let us know what you think. We definitely want to start hearing from more of you. We want to know what we're doing well and what maybe we could improve upon. We thank you for listening to this episode and to this show. We hope you have a good rest of your day and a good rest of your weekend. Stay frosty, friends.